Hi, I'm Chuck, your wingman, and today I'm going to practice and actually obtain the CAT 7 rating on PilotEdge. It's a flight from San Bernardino to El Monte, transitioning through the Ontario Class Charlie airspace without flight following. We're going to depart VFR from San Bernardino on a fast airplane like the Piper Seneca here, equipped with GPS, GTN 750, and 650 on nav2. It's very fast.
Bluetooth connected.
It's very fast, and chances are we may climb above 1,200 feet AGL. That means 2,700 feet. And if we're not talking with the Class Charlie approach on frequency 127.0, we wouldn't be cleared into the Class Charlie airspace. The purpose of this rating is to actually be cleared for the transition through this airspace across bracket, and across bracket below 2,700 we would be on Class Delta airspace. We might need to negotiate individually with bracket tower throughout our descent to El Monte. El Monte has a traffic pattern altitude of 1,300 feet, standard 1,000 feet above the ground. So we want to be at 1,300 feet pattern altitude at El Monte. We might want to start our descent as we cross bracket airspace. So we will ask the Class Charlie controllers in circle approach whether if we are cleared into bracket field Class Delta airspace. So we're going to control our aircraft speed despite its power, so that it gives us time to start two-way radio communications on 127.0, and of course we will set our radios before departure. So let's see how that goes. So let's start by filing a flight plan. VFR on board of our November 6393 Charlie, which today happens to be Piper Seneca PA34.
PilotEdge connected.
With Golf, we're going to try to use Golf to its minimum, and our speed when cruising is going to be 160, but before we're cleared into Class Charlie airspace, or before we establish two-way radio communications, because we don't need a clearance, we're going to be flying a bit slower than that. We're departing San Bernardino to El Monte. We could do 3,000 feet. Yeah, 3,000, 3,500. We don't need to comply with the VFR cruising speeds below 3,000 feet AGL, and 3,500 seems like a precise altitude to experience all the airspaces in between. And we could put Cable Airport as our alternate route. We could use Pomona VOR. And this is going to be for the CAT 7 rating. Let's take a screenshot before submitting the flight plan. File the flight plan. Off it goes. Okay, we have a flight plan. Welcome aboard our Piper Seneca. We're going to use our twin engine checklist. I have the checklist for the Seminole. It's not exactly the same, but it will have to do. Okay. Flight controls. Free and correct. Let me show you what I'm looking for. I'm turning right, and the right aileron deflects upwards. Now I'm pulling the elevator while still turning right. Now I'm turning left, and the right elevator deflects downwards. And now I'm going to push the right aileron. And I'm going to push the elevator down. This is to say that the flight controls are free and correct. Don't forget the rudders too. And if you were able to see the elevator, so I'm going to do this again. And there's the rudder as well. See the rudder up there on top, and the elevator, and the ailerons. Okay, flight controls are free and correct. Let's make sure that it's trimmed for neutral, for taxiing. There's the trim tab. Selectors. On. Welcome aboard Piper Seneca 6393 Charlie, aircraft with capacity for 6 seated occupants, 2 pilots and 4 passengers in a club arrangement. The main exit to the passenger cabin is located in the left seat of the fuselage. To operate it, unlatch the door from this handle and unlock it from the roof lock, then push the door outwards. From there, climb away from the engine toward the tail of the plane to evacuate. Each seat is equipped with a seat belt. Keep it fastened all the times that you remain seated. And if equipped with a shoulder harness, it's also required by regulation that it's properly latched and buckled during taxi takeoff, approach, and landing. There's always a fire hazard due to some electrical failure in flight, and particularly during engine start. To mitigate this risk, this aircraft is furnished with a fire extinguisher located under the front left seat. To operate it, remove the extinguisher from the floor base, pull out the emergency pin, aim at the fire, and activate the trigger. I'll be the pilot in command with the final authority regarding the operation of this flight. I'll have the controls, communications, and checklists unless we exchange them with the left seat pilot using the three-step positive exchange process, not until the third acknowledgement has been made. For example, I have the controls, you have the controls, I have the controls. And then the left seat pilot would stop exerting any forces and I would take over the controls after the third acknowledgement. Finally, refrain from non-essential conversation or distractions, or from looking inside during critical phases of the flight, taxi, takeoff, approach, and landing. And we will maintain that sterile cockpit, that's what it's called, throughout our flight, even in cruise altitude today, because it's going to be a short and very intensive flight. No eating, but drinking water is allowed. Avionics master off, seat secure, seat back, seat belts fastened, heater switch is off, fresh air fan switch off, circuit breakers all in, they're just in front of me. I'll be sitting on the right side. Overhead panel switches, left side panel switches, all in the off position. Fuel selectors, inboard. Well, this one doesn't have inboard or outboard. They're just on. They could be off or crossfeed. They're just on right now. Gull flaps open. There are these two down here. Carb heat off. Mixtures rich. Props full forward. Throttles closed. Cold engines prime. 4 times. 4 strokes. Light controls free and correct. We did that one. Trim is neutral. Altimeter and heading, we will set it when we get the weather. Alternators on. That's up here. Battery master switch on. Anti-collision light. This one doesn't have one. It's going to be the strobe. And the nav lights. We want to be as conspicuous as possible. Fuel pumps on. It's these two over here. Listen to the fuel pumps working. Look at the fuel pressure. The fuel pressure doesn't update in this airplane. It would be these two gauges here on the left side, but it's fuel flow, not fuel pressure. Let's see, do we have fuel pressure down here? Here it is. This is the fuel pressure. Let's turn off our fuel pumps. Nope, no change in the indication here. So I wouldn't know. I could show you where it is in the Navajo and the Seminole, but not here. It's going to take me a while to figure that out. I think it would be seen up here once we turn on the avionics, probably. Yeah. Okay. Magnetos, left engine, left magneto on, left engine, right magneto on, right engine, left magneto, right engine, right magneto on. First engine start, let's start with the left one. Left throttle, 2 full strokes, left throttle.
Bluetooth connected.
Closed. This is weird ways of doing that. Left throttle, 2 full strokes, left throttle closed, brakes hold, clear left. Left is clear. Starter engage. Throttle 1000 RPM. Would be down here. There it is, at 1000. Oil pressure. Oil temperature rising. 1000 RPM. Don't overspeed it. It's not warm enough yet. And the cylinder head temperature is also reaching the green. It's not there quite yet. Left fuel pump off. Left fuel pressure check. Well, where is that? Fuel pressure. It should be on the green. And left mixture lean for RPM rise. Throttle 1000 RPM. Diameter should show that the battery is charging. Let's see, where's the diameter? I can't see the diameter either. It must be this instrument right here, which will turn on when we turn on the avionics. Right throttle, 2 full strokes. Right throttle closed, brakes hold. Clear right. Right is clear. Just make sure that left is also clear. Starter engage. Right throttle, 1000 RPM. Oil pressure on the green. Oil temperature rising. Throttle stable at 1000 RPM. Right fuel pump off. Right fuel pressure check. Well, we should be able to see it somewhere. Right mixture lean, throttle 1000 RPM. Now the avionics master on. That's this switch down here. Pressure fan heater headsets on. Check, check. How do you hear? Annunciator panel lights up correctly. It says that the pitot heat is not turned on. Let's turn it on. Down here. Now all the annunciation lights are off. Alternator output. Let's see if this one. There it is. The fuel indicator gauge on the left and the right. What else does it say? It indicates the ammeters. There it is. It's indicating the ammeters in the second line. So let's turn off the alternator. Now it's 0 amps. Now the alternators are producing 36 amps. Now notice how the battery is still charging with the alternators off. That's basically, well, the airplane is not 100% accurate, but what you're going to do, look, there's the power setting, 1000 RPM. and it calculates the percentage of power. We also have the GTN 750 over here and the GTN 650. GPS OK, enter. That was my part of my checklist. Communications, let's set them and get the 80s. And after that, let's call for clearance. We have the flight planned to El Monte, so we're gonna let them know that we're doing the CAT 7 rating. So it says here that San Bernardino ground is 1 to 1.8. Let's set that one on standby com 2. 1 2 1 8. Enter. And let's set the 80s. 1 to 4.17.
National Airport, 82 Information India, 01550, wind 210 visibility 10, sky conditions clear, temperature 17, 2.11, altitude 3023, arriving and departing runway 24, visual approach continued, read back all runway assignments and hold short instructions, advise on initial contact you have Information India. San Bernardino International Airport, 82 Information India, 01550, wind 210 visibility 10, sky conditions clear, temperature 17, 2.11, altitude 3023, arriving and departing runway 24, visual approach continued, read back all runway assignments and hold short instructions, advise on initial contact have Information India.
San Bernardino ground. Piper Seneca 6393 Charlie has Information India and VFR flight plan to El Monte. We'll contact you for taxi, and this is for the CAT 7 rating. Will advise, thank you. 6393 Charlie. Okay. Now let's set our approach control frequency 127.0. One to 7.0. And the tower frequency for San Bernardino is 119.45. Okay, we're squawking 1200 VFR on, well, in the good old days, we would squawk standby until just before takeoff. These days, we report altitude all the time, even for taxiing. So the pattern altitude here is going to be 1,959, 1,960, or 2,000 if you want. That will put us 800 feet above the ground. The frequencies are the same. We heard the 80s on 12417, tower 119.45, main com 1, ground 1218 on main com 2. Okay, back to our checklist. Not this one, that one. Let's set the altimeter 3023. That's more like it. Our field elevation is 1159 within 30 degrees on current setting 3023. And let's set the right altimeter as well. And there it is, 3023. The GPS, it wouldn't hurt to have a route of flight. From San Bernardino to El Monte. And we can just leave it like that. It will give us an idea of the distance, 40 miles. This is a very quick flight. Navs, we're going to use Pomona VOR, and that frequency is 110.4. Let's set it on main nav 1. Also in nav 2. So nav 2 receiver is going to be here's the deal. When I change the CDI on the GTN 650 to VLOC, I would like to keep the CDI on the 750 in GPS. I cannot do that, so I'm just going to keep it in GPS with the direct track 258. Yeah, I'm just going to keep it in GPS. You know what?
Lobby tower, clear, clear.
I'd like to add Pomona VOR.
Echo, 672, request taxi parking.
To my right.
Parking recharge this frequency.
There we
Taxi
go.
Charlie, frequency 672. Got 672. Great, thank you. Good night to you.
That way, in case we need to just go. Actually, let's use the CDI in VLOC mode. Point to Pomona, we have the DME, 28 miles, and the VOR is centered because we're not receiving Pomona just yet. Okay, yeah, let's use VLOC. So, since we're using Pomona VOR on nav 2 as well, we can rotate the knob to 257, approximately 260, and the nav 2 needle should also center. Okay. Flight instruments, the DSP 0, the horizon has the small airplane. The attitude indicator has the small airplane aligned with the horizon. During taxiing, we will check that the horizon tilts less than 5 degrees on the left and the right attitude indicators. The altimeter is read within 75 feet of the field elevation, in current setting 3023. The vertical spin indicator reads 0. The heading indicator is aligned with the magnetic compass, showing showing north. Yeah, sort of 005 on the heading. This airplane is equipped with a magnetometer and an enslaved gyro, so no need to correct for precession here. And the turn coordinator, during taxiing we will check that the airplane turns with us and that the ball skids to the opposite side. So we will check that the compass swings freely and shows known headings. Transponder is set. Type of takeoff will be a short field takeoffs with 25 degrees of flaps, which lowered on both sides. These flaps are electronic. I just lowered them using this lever right here. Before taxi, ForeFlight is recording now. Flight controls free and correct. The wind's coming from (210) at 6 knots. So we're going to correct for that. We have a tailwind here. Clear to the right, clear to the left. We're going to make our first turn to the left. Let's test our brakes while making our wind correction. Parking brake off.
Let's take this as with TDS ready for taxi, dimension Delta. Taxi via Golf.
Something wrong, we can't.
One left, Delta.
We're going to remove the chocks. Is our airplane chocked in some way? We should be able to move. I mean, the parking brake is off. What else should we be waiting for? No? Weird that we can't move. Huh. Understand why can't we move? Let's get some pushback, some help with that. Throttles 1000 RPM. I'm gonna pause here to troubleshoot and see what's going on. And I figured it out. It was the simulator active pause. So anyways, brake test. My brakes work, free and correct. Your brakes. Cut the gas, apply the brakes. Your flight controls. My flight controls. My flight controls. Clear to right, clear to left. My first turn is going to be to the left. And the weather airplane turns with us on both sides. The ball skids to the opposite side of our turn to the right. The attitude indicators, their horizon tilts less than 5 degrees. And the compass swings freely and shows known headings. And the HSI on the left and the heading indicator on the right are following along. Okay, we're ready to taxi. Let's get our airport diagram here. So we're at the General Aviation hangars at, let's call it Echo 1 to the right, and leave when we see the movement area boundary lines, we will call ground for taxi clearance before crossing them. We don't want to taxi at more than 13 degrees, particularly here. So we're at Echo 1, somewhere in between. Actually, the simulator is not that accurate. If I'm buying the taxiway add-on, or we can call San Bernardino ground, Piper 6393 Charlie with India ready to taxi for VFR departure westbound.
6393 Charlie, runway 6 taxi out.
Runway 6 via Alpha, Piper 6393 Charlie. India said that runway 24 was in use, but for the sake of the exercise, and it doesn't hurt to depart eastbound and make a turn while climbing and depart from the right downwind, because runway 6 has the right pattern. According to here, the chart supplements, right traffic, runway 6. So we're going to taxi via Alpha, even though we're at Echo 1. He should have said Echo 1, Alpha, to runway 6. And we can do a run up over here. So let's do that. So my first turn is going to be to the left. Echo is clear to the left and the right. I'm just going to add a little bit of power because I don't want to taxi at more than 20 knots. And that's going to be a fast taxi given that our taxiways are long today. Normally, I would taxi at about 13-15 knots max. Where do I see my ground speed? I see it in the bottom left corner of the GTN 750N. It's showing 20 knots already. So taxiway Alpha is clear to the left. I can see it straight ahead, and to my right it's also clear. I'm going to make a sharp turn to the right on Alpha. I should get the realistic taxiways add-on. It's about $40. By the way, if you want to support me, visit my website, Chuck Your Wingman, for my contact info and send me an SMS for information on how you can reach me with support and how you can use my services. I provide flight instruction, ground instruction on site, and via Zoom. So visit my website, chuckyourwingman.com. I know that I'm on taxiway alpha because taxiway alpha is parallel to runway 6, and right now my heading indicator is showing 060 right on my tail. And Charlie is cleared to the right and the left. Bravo is cleared to the right and to the left. And taxiway Alpha 1 is also clear to the right and to the left. Now we're crossing Alpha 1. And then the entrance to the western ramp is cleared to the right, crossing the entrance to the western ramp. The altimeters are not showing 1,159 feet. We're going to update our weather information when we do the run-up. Unless there's a slope in the airport, which I think there is. We're going to check the chart supplements. So let's go straight ahead to run up in this paved area down here. Throttle's 1000 RPM. Before we do the run up, let's check that. Yep, it says that runway 6 has a 0.7% slope, meaning that runway 6 has an elevation that is lower than the rest of the field. See, the touchdown zone elevation on runway 6 is 1,103 feet. That's for runway 6. Runway 24 is the normal elevation. So runway 6 is a bit lower, so our altimeters are correct. Run up. Fuel selectors inboard or on? They are. In real life, you wouldn't look at them, you would just feel them with your fingers in between the two seats next to the trims. Two trims, one for pitch and one for rudder trim. Okay, fuel selectors on, mixtures forward, props forward, throttles 1000 RPM, fuel pump on both sides, 1500 RPM. I'm looking at the RPM indicators over here. Prop feather, the left one, twice, drops less than 500 RPM, correct. The right one, twice, drops less than 500 RPM, correct, twice. The throttles, 2000 RPM. Let's check for the governor. Retard the props down to 1800 RPM. There they are. Let's advance throttles a bit, 20 25 on manifold pressure, so it's 1825. And the governors hold that setting correctly. Retard throttles, advanced props, 1000, 2000 RPM. With the throttles, governor check complete, it checked out. Magnetos, the left engine, left magneto off, and there's a drop of less than 175 RPM, correct, back to both. Left engine, right magneto off, drops less than 175 RPM, correct, back to both. Difference between both was less than 50 RPM. Right engine, left magneto off, drops less than 175 RPM, correct, back to both. Right engine, right magneto off, drops less than 175 RPM, and the difference between both is less than 50 RPM, correct. All magnetos in the off position. Sorry, in the on position. Engine gauges, green on the left and green on the right. I'm looking at the oil pressure. And the oil temperature, the fuel flow, the cylinder head temperature. So those are the engine gauges. The suction gauge is showing slightly below 5, above 4.8, and it would be green in this airplane above 4.5, below 5.2. That's the one that powers our gyro instruments, like the attitude indicators. I wouldn't dare to say the HSIs because they are enslaved to a magnetometer. Well, they also rely on a gyro. The magnetometer only corrects automatically for the gyro's precession. So the vacuum pressure also affects our HSIs. The annunciator panel lights up correctly. The throttle's idle if an engine quits. None of them does. 1000 RPM. Mixture slightly lean, quarter friction locked. Type of takeoff, short field with flaps 25. We're going to make a short field takeoff out of runway 6, runway length 10,000 feet. This morning we need 2,500 to clear a 50-foot obstacle. We can accelerate to computed VR 70 knots, climb at VX 82 knots to clear a 300-foot obstacle on our altimeter. That means 1,400 feet. Above 1,400 feet, we will relax the yoke, the back pressure, let our nose come down for better engine cooling, and climb at VY 88 knots, and climb at 88 to an altitude of 1,950
PilotEdge disconnected.
8 feet. We're talking to us, and I didn't connect. Oh, I lost my internet. That's what it is. Let's see. Internet is off. I'll troubleshoot the internet and get back to you guys. I'm back online. Connected to PilotEdge. As I was saying, at VY 88 knots up to 2,000 feet, and then cruise climb 95 or 100 knots up to 3,500. Seems like I also need to refresh my iPad sharing screen. There it is. If we experience any abnormality prior to rotation, close the throttles and stop straight ahead. An engine failure with the gear still down, close the throttles and stop straight ahead. If we need to avoid obstacles, close the mixtures, selectors, master switches, and magnetos, and avoid obstacles as possible. Unlatch the doors before touchdown, and keep our seatbelts fastened until the airplane stops moving completely. I have a knife on my in my pocket. An engine failure after rotation with the gear up will be treated as an in-flight failure. We'll climb at BY single engine 88 knots. Feather identify the dead foot. Verify closing the throttle. Feathering the prop. Cutting off the mixture. Declaring an emergency and coming back to land on runway 6, doing a normal traffic pattern. By the way, runway 6 is right traffic. Okay, pre-takeoff brief has been completed. Flight controls, one more time. It never hurts. Check in your flight controls, and you can forget that before taxi, but it's critical that you don't forget that before takeoff, so just now. And the rudders too, free and correct. Flight instruments, the airspeed reached 0, the attitude indicator has the small airplane aligned with the horizons. During taxiing, the horizons tilted less than 5 degrees as expected. The altimeter reads within 75 feet of this part of the field elevation, 1,100 feet. On current setting 3023, the vertical speed indicators on both sides read 0, and the heading indicators are aligned with the compass showing 060. And the turn coordinators behaved as expected, with the white airplanes turning with ours and the balls skidding to the opposite side. Wind's coming from 210 at 6 knots. Let's update the weather information.
International Airport, Everything conditions room, 02500, visibility 10, sky condition clear, temperature 96, dew point 1, altimeter 3024, arriving in the tower 96, visual approach to the moon, south hall runway approach and hold shield instructions, advise on initial contact and passive position later.
Good, we have it. Now we can switch to tower frequency and hold short. With a wind from 230 at 4, we're going to correct for that wind. Clear to the left, clear to the right. Where am I at the airport? So the runway threshold is right over here. This is taxiway. Alpha still. Okay. And as we're holding short, trim for takeoff. Flaps 25, cowl flaps up. Flight controls free and correct. Oh, primer's locked, carb heat off. GPS is set, and the HSI, our course 257. Let's just make it 260. The mixture is full forward, props full forward, seat secure, seat back, seat was fastened, doors and windows closed, landing light on. Okay, let's leave that for when they clear us. Time off, 1900 hours and 34. $1934. San Bernardino Tower, Piper 6393 Charlie, holding short runway 6 with Juliet, ready for VFR departure. Request right downwind departure. Runway 6 cleared for takeoff, right downwind departure, 6393 Charlie. Runway was cleared to the right, was cleared to the left. Lights, camera, action. The strobe, the landing light is on. The camera means the transponder, it's on out. Action, fuel pumps, mixtures, carpet off. Finals cleared to the right, the runway is cleared to the left. As I line up with the runway, my compass aligns with the runway heading. Brakes hold, power to 2000 RPM. Gauges on the green. Full power, gauges green, brakes release. The airspeed is alive. 75 knots, positive, rotate. VX82, positive rate. I'm just gonna call no more usable runway remaining to bring my gear up, even though it's a long runway. 300 feet above the ground, flaps and a positive rate, flaps 10. They're retracting now. Traffic pattern altitude, VY. Max continues. Flap 0. Traffic pattern altitude, we're going to turn to the left, to the right. Right traffic, right pattern departure was approved. That was a nice wing rocking, practicing for Lakeland later this year. I don't care about my heading. I'm just going to put my 060 heading on my left wing. And the runway should be behind my right wing, as it is. And I'm maintaining 2,000 feet traffic pattern altitude, just because I was cleared for a right downwind departure. And there it is, 2-4 should be my heading, that's my right downwind. Aligned with the runway, parallel. There it is, parallel to my runway, 2-4. Much better. San Bernardino Tower, Piper 6393 Charlie, request a frequency change.
6393
Thank you, 6393 Charlie. Okay, we requested an early frequency change so we can contact SoCal Approach. SoCal Approach, Piper 6393 Charlie at 2,200, climbing 3,500, about 25 miles east of Pomona VOR. Request Class Charlie transition via Ontario airspace, destination El Monte.
6393 Charlie, approach 7466
7466, and here comes the flash. 6393 Charlie. 7466. And do we have ident in the simulator? I'm not sure. I'm just going to use PilotEdge window. Ident.
Airport, Ontario, altimeter 3024.
24. Piper 6393 Charlie. It's 3024. Oops. So keep climbing. That will keep your speed slow. Through 3,000 feet, you can lean your mixture a bit. 3034. That was also on ATIS information Juliet, which I failed to update. I'm still with 3023 with India from San Bernardino. So we have been cleared. I can speed up now because now I'm under flight following with on the radar services with a transponder code. Plus I am on two-way radio communications, so that is all I need to be in to be legal in Class Charlie. So now I'm going to level up at 3,500. Remember, my yellow needle on the HSI is following the VOR frequency for Pomona VOR. I'm 23 miles to the east of Pomona VOR, getting 3,500. And now I'm going to use ForeFlight just for situational awareness to show you where I'm at. I'm just entering Class Charlie right now.
Class Charlie in 0.1 miles.
Class Charlie airspace extends from 2,700 feet up to 5,000 feet, just where I'm at. So I'm entirely within by maintaining 3,500. That is 800 feet above the floor of Class Charlie in this sector. Luckily, I have been cleared. Well, I have established two-way radio communications, which makes me legal to be here with my transponder and my ADSB Bravo out, transmitting my altitude, my squawk code, so ATC knows exactly where I'm at, and they can provide separation to VFR traffic around me, as well, IFR traffic around me, as well as radar services all around, and sequencing. So it's a beautiful day. There's traffic to my 9 o'clock. I'm going to stay at 3,500. Trim for hands-off flight. Now I'm at 18 miles from Pomona VOR. Once I get to Pomona VOR, it's going to get busy. I'm going to preload bracket control tower frequency just in case I need to negotiate my transition through there at 2,700 during my descent. So I'm going to preload that on standby COM 1, and bracket field tower is 118.2. There it is. And I'm going to set tower frequency for San Gabriel, for El Monte. Tower frequency is 1 to 1.2 on standby on main. COM2. That would be 1 to 1.2. And then the weather 1 to 2.905. No, that's 118.75. Let's look outside. One 8.75. One 18.75. Enter. Okay, let's get the weather. Now that we're 10 miles east of the Monte.
Visibility 10. Sky conditions clear. Temperature 16. Dew point 6. Altitude 3026. Arriving and departing runway 19. Visual approach continues. Reset all runway assignments and hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact you have information X. El Monte Airport, 8 information Echo. 0245 Zulu. Wind 210 outside. Visibility 10. Sky conditions clear. Temperature 16. Dew point 6. Altitude 3026. Arriving and departing runway 19. Visual approach continues. Reset all runway assignments and hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact you have information X. El Monte Airport, 8 information Echo. 0245 Zulu. Wind 210 outside. Visibility 10. Sky conditions clear. Temperature 16. Dew point 6. Altitude 3026. Arriving and departing runway 19. Visual approach continues. Reset all runway assignments and hold short instructions. Advise on initial contact you have information X. El Monte Airport, 8 information Echo. 0245 Zulu.
Okay, now I have the tower, and I'm going to set the standby frequency to ground 1 to 5.9. And yes, I'm going to start my descent now, but I don't want to be as fast. Mm, 2,000 feet. Maintain 3,000 and slow down. Rich in the mixture. Fuel pump on, landing light on. So I'm just going to stay at 2,800 just above El Monte. Circle approach. Viper 6393 Charlie requests a transition through bracket field Delta airspace in our descent to El Monte. At or above 2,500 through El Monte class, through bracket class Delta, thank you. Viper 6393 Charlie. And we have traffic inside ahead of us. That's why we're going to stay at or above 2,500. There it is, 2,500. We're going to maintain. Trim for hands-off flight. We're 4 miles away from Pomona VOR. I'm at minimum power, so I'm going to add some. I'm going to add the de-icing carb heat. That.
Go ahead. Currently 3,700, landing 5,500, that's no 1.2 flight goal.
The horn you hear is because my power is minimum, just above the one allowed when the gear is retracted. If I lowered my gear, we wouldn't hear that horn any longer. But I want to fly a bit slower because I'm doing 115 knots right now, and from Pomona VOR. So when I'm 4 miles to the west of Pomona VOR, that's 5 miles from here, I can further descend to El Monte pattern altitude, which is 1,300 feet, and make a left pattern inbound to runway 19er, which is in use. Then I will evacuate the runway to the left, probably on taxiway Charlie. I'm going to try to do that on a very short field landing. I'm going to use my short field technique on this Seneca airplane. Let's see how it works out. So my yellow needle past the transition area, the confusion area, just above the VOR, and now I'm 11 miles from El Monte airport, but that means I'm about 1 mile from Pomona VOR now. In 3 more miles, that means about 7 miles to El Monte airport. I'll be able to start my descent. Actually, I'm going to try to add Pomona VOR to my flight plan down here to get my DME from the VOR. I'm 2.5 miles from Pomona, 9.8 to El Monte. When I'm 4 miles from Pomona VOR, I'll be able to descend from 2,500. It's cleared. 1 more mile to go. And for situational VFR, thank you for the coverage, 6392 Charlie. So let's squawk VFR as instructed. As you can see, I'm squawking VFR, enter, and frequency change is approved. So now I'm going to change to the Monte Tower, and that I'm 8 miles out, and I can now descend to 1,300 feet. But I'm going to maintain 2,500 until about 5 miles out. And I'm going to call now El Monte Tower. Piper 6393 Charlie is maintaining 2,500 about 8 miles to the east of the field, inbound for full stop landing, and we have echo. Left base 19er clear land, Piper 6393 Charlie. What did I tell you? Left base 19er. Well, I told you left downwind. So I'm going to deviate a little bit to the right, but not so much. Just a couple of degrees will be enough to reach the destination airport at aligned with the base. So rather than entering midfield, I'm going to enter all the way through the base like this. Okay, I'm gonna lower my, well, I'm gonna go ahead and do my approach checklist now. Approach checklist, we got the weather, we briefed the approach, the pattern entry, the altimeter should be set to the 3026. So let's do that. 3026. Okay, let's start our descent now that we're 4 miles out of Monte, down to 1,300 feet. Miles out, 700 feet to go on our descent, and the checklist says selectors inboard, they are, the hull flaps closed, they are, fuel pumps on, they are, landing light on. Okay, 2.6 miles and 600 feet to go, keep descending. We're 1 mile out, 2 miles out. I can drop my gear. That's going to help me descend a bit faster as well. So gear down before landing checklist with the wide arc. Below 128 VLO. Selectors inboard. Flaps 10, mixture props forward, fuel pumps on. Now, down we go to 1,300. You see the runway. By the way, now let's set it to 19er. Says that it should be around here somewhere, but let's just turn in a line with the runway. I should have visited the runway before. Oh, I'm on top of the runway. Let's call Monte Tower, Piper 6393 Charlie's going around. Left traffic 19er, 19er clear land, Piper 6393 Charlie. Okay, maintain 1,200. Looking for the runway, even with the GPS and all the realism of Flight Simulator, and I couldn't find it until I was entirely on top of it. Okay, left base is clear to the right and to the left, turning left base now. Let's put my runway heading on my left wing for left base, maintaining 1,300, the gear down, and flaps 10. Now, downwind's cleared to the right and the left, entering left downwind runway. 19er. Now we are. Difficult to see the airport. Tried rocking my wings, but still from here. Unfamiliar with this simulator. I'm just going to extend my downwind. That way I'll be able to better see the airport. Next time I'm cleared to enter on base, I'll just request to enter on downwind and give myself more time. Okay, I can see the airport now. I'm not going to get any closer to it. I'm a bit with the numbers right now. That's the thing with the low wing airplane as well, that you have to bank your airplane to actually get to see the airport. So anyways, knots approach speed. Flaps 10, gear is down, gums, gas selectors, fuel pumps, carb heat is off. Undercarriage is down, triggering no red ones on the mirror, mixture probes are forward. Okay, we're on the left base. Let's put that runway heading on our left wing and maintain 90 knots on base. Flaps 25. Finals clear to the left and to the right. Final, overshot the runway. I think I have it in sight. Plenty of trees around here. Right aileron, right rudder to track my center line. There it is. (500 feet above the field). Doing 82 knots, 85. We're gonna do 80 on short final with full flaps to see if I get to evacuate the runway on taxiway Charlie. To track the center line, left aileron, left rudder, right aileron, right rudder. 400 feet, gear down, plane stabilized. It's okay to be below the precision approach path indicator as I'm aiming for the numbers. Okay, Charlie's not gonna cut it. Okay, 50 feet, nose, wind. Up, Lamps clean. No skid. We exit via Delta. Del Monte Tower, Viper 639 with Charlie, clear runway 19er at Delta, request taxi to the transient parking. The Alpha, thank you. Please, the status on that CAT 7 rating. Thanks so much. It was a pass. Let's actually see it over here. My completed ratings. CAT 7, it was a pass, right? So continue with our checklist. After landing, mixture lean, transponder on 1200, standby. Well, in the good old days, standby. For taxiing these days, they want it on alt. Fuel pump off, landing light off, strobe off, taxi light on. Trim neutral, cowl flaps open. Those over there, they are open now. We have our taxi clearance. Here to the left and the right, our airport diagram. From Delta to the FBO, I'm going to turn to the left. And there should be a fuel box to my right at some point. Let's not taxi at more than 15 knots. There's the fuel tank and the fuel truck. Clear to the right. Let's taxi next to the fuel tank. Okay, we should be able to get some fuel around here. I'm just gonna shut down my airplane. Next master off. Nav and taxi lights off because there's going to be some vibration when we cut up the mixtures, and the engines shut down. And from there, magnetos, left, right engine, left magneto, right engine, right magneto, left engine, right magneto, right, left engine, left magneto off, master switches off, overhead panel switches all in the off position. And that's it for flight stop recording. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's flight, and this is how you obtain PilotEdge's CAT 7 rating.